Good evening, everyone. It looks like it is just about 6 o'clock. So we are going to go on and get started. We want to thank you so much for taking the time out this evening to meet with us, to ask any remaining questions that you may have. We have attempted to remain communicative during this time, but we know that uh, there will likely always be questions. And so it's up to us to kind of put our heads together to both problem solve and communicate the expectations as we're moving forward. So once again, we're just going to set aside a few minutes this evening to share information, first and foremost, about phase 2 as we are moving forward, and then also to answer any questions that have already been posed. In today's beacon, you will see that once again, we have shared a link to a Google document for you to submit any questions that you may have. And as we go throughout the question and answer session this evening, if you think of additional questions, we invite you to enter those on the document as well. At the conclusion of this question and answer forum, that form will then be made inactive, and any remaining questions can be posed to your child's teacher or administration directly, and we will be more than happy to problem solve with you. All right. So at this time, I just want to thank you once again. This has definitely been a time of new learning for parents, students, and families as a whole, our entire community. It's been a time of teamwork. We have certainly had to lean on you all, and we have tried to be ever present for whatever needs might have been presented on your end. And then also it's been a time where we have had to exercise great flexibility. But like all things, as a team, as a Bookman Road family, we can conquer whatever comes before us. And so we just thank you for the positivity and the encouragement that has been shared during this time. At this time, I do want to introduce to you some very important people here in our Bookman Road family. On the district level, there is a district task force, reopening schools task force. And here at Bookman Road, we too have a school level reopening schools task force. So at this time, I just want to introduce the key players on that task force who've just been working together to make sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed as we welcome our students back in the most safe and nurturing way possible. First on our team is one of our assistant principals who is overseeing all things having to do with operations, and that is Mr. Relaford. Then our other assistant principal, Dr. Sonia Parnell, she is overseeing all things having to do with health. So as it has to do with the health of our students, the health of our staff, during this time, Dr. Parnell has been making sure that our bases are covered with that.
Thank you for joining us this evening, Beacons.
Thank you so much, Dr. Parnell. Then, of course, first and foremost, we're in the business of educating our students, and we know that education goes far beyond just reading, writing, and arithmetic. Our students are certainly learning a whole lot about emotional intelligence during this time, but the person who is overseeing academics during this reopening time is Mrs. Stephanie Harrell, who is our literacy coach.
Hi, good evening, families. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
And then we have, as I shared earlier, we have attempted to be very communicative to make sure that you all are aware of any changes, any information that needs to be disseminated. You will note that we have been very active and very present on social media. We have been up to date with pushing information out in the beacon. We have utilized Blackboard Connect, and that's that system that might send you a text message, an email, or a phone call automatically. And leading up our communications task force force during this time is our wonderful technology and learning coach, Mrs. Arlie West.
Good evening, Beacons. Thank you so much for being with us.
And then one of the most important parts of re-entry is that we certainly want to make sure that our students remain safe. There are a lot of procedures that go into play during this time, from making sure the traffic patterns are as efficient as possible during this time, making sure that protocols and procedures are in place for ensuring that our students can get to and from where they need to be, socially distanced and safe. So leading up our security and safety task force is our very own Officer Dooley. All right. And so once again, this is just the Bookman Road Task Force. So as questions might arise that have to do with any of those areas, please feel free to reach out to any of the individuals who I just mentioned. So at this time, what we're going to do is we are going to share a video. We're going to I have a visitor with me this evening who's attempting to give me some chapstick, but I think that I am okay. Thank you so much. But as we move forward, we're going to share a video, an informative video with you that will hopefully answer some of the questions that you might have right off the bat. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. West at this time. All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. West. Hopefully you were able to see a few answers to some of the questions that you may have had on that presentation. We did submit a Google form, as I shared earlier, and so on that form there were some questions submitted. So at this time we're going to move into our question and answer session for this evening. Mrs. West, I believe, has access to the form, and as she poses the questions that you asked, then we'll attempt to answer them at this time.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Hill. So our first question asks, we are trying to determine the amount of time the students will use the Chromebooks for their learning compared to e-learning in phase 1. Could that be discussed?
So yes, thank you. So yes, we definitely want to maximize our instructional time for both learning models, whether your student may be an e-learner or a face-to-face student. So the Chromebooks will be used for our e-learners to join in on the live sessions, the meets, just as they have been during phase one. So there will be times for that live session meet, that synchronous time, and then there will be time for that asynchronous or independent work. For our students who are face-to-face students in phase two, it will be just as like the phase one students. You will have that time with your teacher, that live meet, and then in person, those students will also have that independent work time.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Harrell. Our next question asks, should my child bring his Chromebook home with him? Should my child bring his Chromebook with him to school on November 4th? And I can actually take that one. So yes, we are asking all students that are returning face-to-face to bring their Chromebooks with them on November 4th. And actually devices will be transported back and forth from school to home each day in those padded, nice book bags that the district gave us. And if your child did not receive one during textbook rollout or during Leap Week, we will have one ready for your child next Wednesday. And the next question is, will there be a staggered dismissal?
I can take that one, Ms. West. Good afternoon, Beacons. Glad to have you all here. Arrival and dismissal times will not be staggered in terms of when the students arrive and leave, so like grade levels. However, they will be individually sent to each classroom when they arrive at whatever time they arrive. So what they'll do is they'll go to each classroom and kind of stay there for whatever time they get here at school. We'll have staff members in the hallways spaced around to kind of make sure the kids have know where to go, and the teachers, of course, will kind of be out there to kind of make sure where they're going to. We'll have breakfast in the morning, and in the afternoons we'll do a silent dismissal with the kids. Kids will see their name and they will come outside if they're a car rider, or they'll be called to the buses or to the daycares individually. And again, with the staff members in the hallways, it will help us maintain that social distancing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Relaford. Our next question asks, will breakers be available during the half days on Fridays?
Thank you, Mrs. West. And yes, for our students who are registered for breakers and attend breakers on the other days of the week, Monday through Thursday, they will also be able to attend breakers on the half day Fridays.
Thank you, Dr. Parnell. Our final question that we have is asking, I will have a scheduling conflict every Friday now that it's a half day. Will I have the option to allow my child to attend class virtually versus face-to-face?
And I will take that one. You know, we understand that implementing an early dismissal day every Friday might not be the most conducive for everyone's schedule. And so we're encouraging you that if you do have a scheduling conflict, if it poses a hardship for your student to get to school or to get picked up in a timely manner, to simply reach out to your teacher, and the teacher will then reach out to administration, because we do have a plan in place for that. So once again, if it is a hardship getting students to or from school for those Friday half days, we do have a plan. And we're glad to discuss that plan on an as-needed individual basis. But yes, we do have a contingency plan in place.
Great, thank you, Dr. Hill. And that actually concludes our Q&A session. Those were the questions that were submitted on the form right up until this moment. So we will go ahead and actually just add a few additional notes before we wrap up our Q&A session this evening.
Oh, thank you so much, Mrs. West. As I shared before, it is so very important that we are working together, that we are exuding a positive outlook and a positive attitude during this time. We cannot do it without you. And something that has been so moving and so touching to the students and the staff here at Bookman Road is the collaboration and cooperation by our parents and our parent-teacher organization. I'm not sure how many of you have driven by the school, but you will notice that there have been several encouraging messages put there by our wonderful PTO, led by the hospitality committee. So the most recent, when we first came back, we saw messages that just said happy fall, Beacons, but the most recent simply says light the way, Beacons, and such a timely reminder during this time to continue to light the way. So we certainly want to thank our PTO for your cooperation and support during this time. And then along those same lines, there are a lot of suggestions that we get on a daily basis as we are maneuvering and navigating the logistics during this time. And we welcome input and feedback. We do have a school advisory council. We do have a couple of the SIC, School Improvement Council members present this evening, and we thank you so much for being present. But if you might be interested in serving on our School Improvement Council, there is still room for you. And once again, it's simply an advisory board to administration on ways that we can improve here at the school. All right, so.
And Dr. Hill, I believe Ms. Brown may have raised her hand. Ms. Brown, if you're still there, if you'd like to unmute your mic.
Sure.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I got on a couple of minutes late just due to some personal reasons. I really just needed to understand as far as my daughter, because we're coming from a different district, so this is her first year with you guys. And I was reading on the website where they were saying like she's only supposed to go to school Monday and Tuesday, not Wednesday and Thursday. And then her teacher's saying something about they're supposed to be going 5 days a week. I don't know if you guys covered it or not, but just as far as work and stuff goes, I'm just trying to know exactly what's going on.
Yes, thank you so much for that question. And there has been a little bit of confusion, Mrs. Brown. And honestly, it varies from what high schools and middle schools are doing and then what elementary schools are doing. Our elementary students are following what we are calling classroom communities. And those classroom communities simply means that students are remaining in one classroom bubble for the entire day for 5 days a week. That's for elementary. Now, when you're talking about middle and high school students, those are the students who are following a hybrid model. And with the hybrid model, they are indeed attending school 2 days a week as opposed to 5. But when we're talking about our elementary schools, our students will be here 5 days a week. And then each Friday, they are here until 11:30. So those are half days.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and we are going to close with a video. And Dr. Hill, as I'm pulling that up, if you want to go ahead and touch base with families about what they're going to view.
All right, sounds good. If there are any other pressing questions that that you might have, and Mrs. West, I'm glad that she was able to identify the raised hand feature. We are learning Zoom, but we do appreciate that question. But if there are others that are pressing at this time, if you would like to raise your hand, we will welcome those. And that'll be before the end. So once this video is over, we're going to do one last glance for any remaining questions, and then that will conclude our question and answer for this evening. After this evening, once again, if you think of any questions, please feel free to reach out to your child's teacher. One of the pieces and Mrs. West had a wonderful, wonderful idea to provide what we call a being here experience. Let's see, I think we got somebody unmuted here. Okay, I'm not sure how to maneuver that. But what we call a being there experience is just an opportunity to experience something firsthand. And for parents, particularly parents who have students who might be new to Bookman Road or new to school in general, one of the things that we have always looked forward to is the ability to walk our students into class on the first day of school. But of course, because we are exercising social distancing and just trying to maintain a contained space for our learners, that is not an option this year. So what we have encouraged teachers to do is to use what we've been using all along, the wonderful technology that has been granted to us to provide a being there experience for you. So what our technology and learning coach has done with the in collaboration with a few others of us who will be featured in this quick clip, we have allowed, or we're attempting to show you what your student might see upon returning to school on November 4th. Now, this will leave off in a classroom where hopefully teachers will pick up with additional video or pictures that might give you a little bit of exposure to what your students will be experiencing. So at this time, we are going to, if we don't have any other questions at this time, we are going to show you a little bit of what your student might experience.
I think, Dr. Hill, we actually had one more parent raise their hand. Mr. Dunder, if you want to go ahead and unmute your mic.
Good evening, everyone. And Dr. Hill, let me just start with a big thank you to you and the leadership team and the staff and the faculty. I know it takes a lot to prepare for this transition, so thank you for that. But I had a question specifically for the Breakers after school program. I know that the information that went out was kind of a first come, first serve basis. So my question is there going to be any confirmation, or if I went through parent portal and paid the fee and did everything I needed to on my end, is it safe to assume that we do have a reserved spot for that?
Thank you so much for that question, Mr. Dunder. And that is correct. Yes, if you've gone through the registration process, your spot has been reserved for Breakers.
And we do have a few more spots available. And what will happen is that once those spots are filled, then we will no longer be accepting registrations through parent portal. So if you had access to that, then you're good to go.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Hill and Dr. Parnell. And with that, unless there are any more questions, that concludes our Lighting the Way into Phase 2 Q&A with our Bookman Road families. We appreciate you all so much for being here. And again, please don't hesitate to let us know if we can do anything for you and your families. We are all in this together, and we look forward to seeing our beacons again tomorrow and then again next Wednesday, as they have Monday and Tuesday off. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you.